Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of The South Side of Things. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel down there, or maybe here. Today's episode is going to have more of a local focus, and by that I mean I'm going to talk about some issues affecting my country, Trinidad and Tobago, which is why you see a flag floating around somewhere there, Trinidad flag. I'm going to talk about the environment a little bit, specifically the extension of the Solomon Hochoy Highway from San Fernando to Point Fortin, which would bring much needed traffic relief to the residents of all the way down to Point Fortin, as they currently have to get to San Fernando to get onto the highway. Actually, now it's, I believe, the the section from San Fernando to Day Bay is open. However, I want to talk about how the environment comes into play in this. Dr. Wayne Kublalsingh, environmentalist, activist, UE lecturer, I believe, is undertaking his second hunger strike for the same cause. He wants the part of the highway to be rerouted, and he's part of the highway reroute movement. He, I believe, is on his 20th day today. Today is his 20th day of being on the hunger strike, and this is the second hunger strike that he has taken. The first one was in 2012, and after 21 days, an agreement was made, which caused him to stop striking. And now he claims that the agreement that was made with the government has reneged, and so he is striking again to hold the government accountable and to its word. One thing I want to say is that the government and the media have successfully vilified Dr. Wayne Kublalsingh. This guy's a smart guy. He has been active. He's been an active member of civil society for decades, and it's not as though he has an axe to grind with the government or anything, and he hasn't done this on a whim. There are genuine concerns that he has and that the residents who support him have. For example, the breaking up of their community, and also the route that the highway is going to take, which will destroy a lot of the Urapooch mangrove area, which is home to a lot of biodiversity. And here is where I have a problem. I should actually have more of a problem with all the people whose homes are going to be destroyed and whose community life will be affected. But I want to talk about the environment. You could ask any Form 3, Form 4 geography student about the benefits of the mangrove swamp and the biodiversity and all these things, and they would be able to tell you that. You could also ask them, why is it bad to light fires, to light your garbage on fire at the side of the road, and to dump your car oil and all of these things in the river? Or why is it bad for all these companies and these soda manufacturing companies and whatever to dump all their industrial waste into rivers? And I could tell you why. It only takes someone with a little bit of common sense like me to know that this is not good for the environment. Yet, we don't have laws in place to regulate these things. The design build of the highway was ill-advised because it compromised the environmental impact assessment. Its implementation risks conflicted with best practice and consequently were not in the best interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It is imperative that a proper social impact assessment be undertaken before a decision is made whether or not to continue with the Day Bay to Montezuma segment, given the potential for severe adverse effects on the resident population and other stakeholders, including the severing of extended family ties. Hydrological and hydraulic analyses also did not indicate planning in a holistic manner. Example, no integrated watershed management plans for the South Urapooch River and watershed management for the swamp. Time and time again, we see that the EMA, the Environmental Management Authority, is powerless in many things. It's a toothless dog. We don't have proper legislation, and we don't seem to have the political will to form proper legislation. Now, contrast that with the 69th General Assembly of the United Nations. Just a couple of weeks ago, and our Prime Minister went and addressed the UN General Assembly, and talked about sustainable development, sustainable consumption and production, climate change, uh, talking about our global greenhouse gases, and how we as small island states are at greater risk than larger countries, larger northern countries especially. We are supposed to be affected the most from climate change. Okay. Oh no, all that sounds very lovely, uh, talking about what we need to do for climate change, but the fact of the matter is that this one project that is causing so much of a headache in Trinidad, and there are environmental issues tied up in that project that are not being paid attention to. To talk about the environment to the United Nations and its importance and all that, which I agree with and which I applaud, but then to come home to Trinidad and not take the concerns of the Armstrong report or this environmentalist seriously, I don't think that's logically consistent. So we need to revise what our priorities are. If we say one thing to the entire world, let's actually do what we say to the world. Moving on to an equally important issue that I think needs attention is I don't see much thought being put into trying to build more efficient public transportation and move away from everyone buying multiple cars and clogging up the roads, because there are studies that show that building more roads is not the solution for traffic jams. You build more roads, people buy more cars, and you're back in the same position, and eventually you're going to run out of land to build roads. However, if you start to change the mentality and the mindset of the people by promoting things like good public transportation, less reliance on one person, one car type of thing, carpooling, and all of these things. These are small changes, carpooling, I mean, that everybody could do, or most people could do, and that'll have a big effect. However, I don't see much being done to promote public transportation. I probably have taken a bus in Trinidad, a PTSC, a public transportation bus, maybe 5 times in my entire life. And I I actually hate taking taxis, or I hate not having a vehicle in Trinidad. And that's I guess what most motorists feel like. Because right now it'll be faster for you to use your car, even though there's so many traffic jams and all these things, but you're in your car. I don't think we've gotten to a point where public transportation is reliable enough or frequent enough for it to really be a viable alternative for people who have cars. Now look at this figure. Between 1966 and 2006, car ownership in Trinidad and Tobago went up by 314%. That's 314%. That statistic is good to see. The Trinidad and Tobago Central Statistical Office. That's a lot. And it does say something about our standards of living, but it also says something about our public transportation system. That we should be moving away from, yes, Trinidad and Tobago has lots of oil and gas, but at the end of the day, oil will run out, gas will run out, and we seem to be thinking that it will not, because we are not putting any contingencies in place. We are not trying to be oil independent like Brazil, energy independent, sorry. And Brazil is a wonderful example to follow. We keep thinking that the world will forever be on oil. I know it seems like that now, but many countries are moving away from oil, and we should be doing the same. Yes, oil is what has made us such a rich country. I will not forget that. I will always remember that, and I do know that, and it does employ a lot of people in this country. However, the fact is that oil will run out. Whether it is 10 years, whether it is 50 years, whether it's 100 years, it will run out. And peak oil theorists say that before 2020, the world will have peaked in its oil production and will enter a slow but steady decline. We need to start thinking more about the future. Yes, the highway is a very good idea, but we need to start thinking more sustainably. As to quote the Prime Minister, we need to think more sustainably, and going out and I don't know, backfilling the entire mangrove swamp and all these things is not the way forward. Um, So I'm sorry to leave on such a somber note, but I get quite upset when issues about the environment uh, are brought to my attention, and most of the times it's in a bad way because it's because people are ignoring the environment. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.